Hi, folks. I'm Mike, and I hope you're well. Welcome to this live show. I'm super excited about this one. I've been excited about this ever since I arranged it a couple of weeks ago, because as you'll know from the title of this show, I'm going to be interviewing one of my favorite YouTubers. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not just saying it. This guy is super inspiring to watch, really gives, encourages me to keep going with my channel. I'm influenced by him, I have to say. Now, before we get into that, I just want to say a big hi to everyone who's already joining us on the chat there. Welcome, guys. Make sure you say hello. Make sure you tell us where you're from. It's just really interesting for YouTubers to kind of connect with people who are watching, find out which part of the world they're from. So always love to hear about that. Also, for the people who are already watching at the moment, can I ask you a big favor? Can you hit the like button right away if you haven't already done so? Apparently, so I understand if you do that, it means that YouTube will tell more people about the show and they'll come and join and they'll watch. And that's what we want. The more, the merrier. Now, during this show, apart from talking to my special guest, we will also be taking questions from you guys in the audience. So don't fire them off right away, because we may lose them in the chat. But a little bit later, as we get into the show, definitely ask questions. Okay, that's going to help us, because we'll have something to talk about. Now, I'm sure we will have something to talk about. Before I actually bring our guest onto the show, he is Mr. Sanjay C, and I just want to play you a little bit of what he's all about in case you haven't actually seen his channel. And also, if you haven't seen his channel, check the link for his channel in the description. Find it there. It's awesome. Let's have a look and see what he does.
Mark II gives you easy access to your DAW and Arturia's analog lab. But does it really improve your workflow? Let's find out. I've tested 7 USB mics available right now. In this video, I'll show you how to set up your Machine Plus from scratch and make your first beat. I've got 6 subwoofer solutions for your home studio here today. I asked you, real people, producers, and musicians, what Windows computer do you use for music production? $100,000! We just hit it! We just hit it!
Congratulations!
100,000, look at it! This is the biggest redesign of my studio since I began this YouTube channel. The desk, the keyboards, the synths, the interfaces, microphones, the whole setup is new. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. Keep making the music that you love. And I will see you guys later.
And there he is with his own catchphrase there, Mr. Sanjay C. Keep making the music you love. How are you?
Hey, Mike. I'm well. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure, man. I've just noticed how much closer I am to the camera than you. I look enormous compared to you.
I can get closer.
Look, it's a scoop. Sanjay C is very, very tiny. No, you're a god. You're a huge man. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. You're really, really busy, right?
I am busy, but I really like making time for this kind of stuff. I think the best part about being a YouTuber and part of this music community and stuff is connecting with people, right? And seeing the kind of music they make and the difference you can make. And I know you have these experiences too. And that's just the best part. So I love this. So thank you so much for having me. And also thank you for that intro. That was so cool. I need to use that as my channel trailer or something.
Yeah, well, I knocked it off in a couple of hours today. It's just one of the things I do. I was going to say, and I totally forgot, but for people who haven't seen your channel, not only are you a composer, you're a musician, you're a singer, you're an engineer, videographer now. You've added that on there as well. Technician, entrepreneur, loving husband.
Wow. Yes, that's important.
That's important. That's important. You're probably an astronaut as your full-time job, I'm sure. That's what I would totally believe if someone told me. But one of the things that I really one of the things I noticed as I was sort of looking at other interviews about you is me and you have something in common. Now, we have something quite significant in common, in fact. Would you like to guess what it is? Well, before you try and guess what it is, I'll give you a multiple choice. I've planned this. Multiple
I
choice, right?
think I don't know. Should I wait for your multiple choice?
Yeah, wait.
Okay, give me.
Is it A, we're both Indian and speak fluent Hindi?
Okay.
B, we both have full-time jobs
Mm-hmm.
as exotic dancers? Or C, we both took an extended break from music at some point?
Okay, I didn't want to reveal the exotic dancer part, but no, it's C.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
absolutely.
Took
Tell
a
us
big
about
break.
that. How long did you have a break from music?
I took a 10-year break from
Whoa.
music. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like half of your life, apparently.
I wish. But yeah, it was a 10-year break. And, I always felt not a day went by when I didn't think of like, wow, I should really get back to playing the piano or writing something.
Yeah. Right.
And, after you've been out of it for a while, it's hard to get back in. So I needed a reason to. And so I did a couple of things to get myself back into it. One was I changed my DAW, and the other one is I decided to kind of put it on YouTube to document my new journey on YouTube, and that kept me motivated.
Very, very cool. You went from Logic to Ableton, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
That's a big shift.
It was, and I was using Logic back when it was with eMagic, not Apple.
That's
so it was in the really, really early days. And I was using that. I actually produced a couple albums out there with bands, even some solo stuff that I did. But then a 10-year break. And then when I came back, I decided I need a complete change in workflow. And so I chose Ableton.
It's an amazing thing. I'd sometimes wonder if it isn't a good thing, though, to have a little bit of separation from music at some point. What are we going to sing about if we don't just live life?
Absolutely.
But
you're completely right. Sometimes it takes that break to reset your creative workflow. I think for me, I get stuck in ruts. I get stuck with, I opened my DAW and I choose the same old instrument to start with. I kind of tend to create the same drum beats, and I start writing lyrics in the same kind of flow. And sometimes you need that break to reset that and to say, let me try something different. I forgot about this, or remember when I used to create like this, and try those other methods. And usually that sparks more interesting creativity. It makes the process more fun too. You're not in the rut that you're always going back to. You're trying something new and creative and fun.
You mentioned, you touched a moment ago about, writing lyrics, writing melodies and things. I'm just interested. Are you a lyrics guy or are you a music guy?
I am not a lyrics guy. Every now and then I get lucky. Every now and then I get lucky. And I'm like, wow, that line is awesome. I'm going to write a whole song around it. But most of the time, writing lyrics is kind of difficult for me.
When you're listening to music, do you latch onto lyrics, or is it really the music?
No, I hardly ever listen to the lyrics. Every now and then I'll hear the hook of the song. And I'm like, oh, wow, that was a nice phrase. That's cool. That's why that song is a hit. They came up with a really cool catchphrase in there.
But singer through.
It's the music. The music gets me. Yeah.
I suspected that because it's something about the way that you sing, and so I thought this guy's about music. It's melody. I think he's into melody and rhythm. That was my feeling watching you. But my partner Susie, who sings on some of my videos, she's same as you. I mean, she's different to you in many ways, of course, but she's shorter for a start. But she sings extremely well, in my opinion. I love you, babe.
She's got a beautiful voice.
But she has no concept of lyrics. And one day, I kid you not, she was walking around the house. People killing, people dying, children hurt. I'm saying, that song's about people killing and people dying, right? You're not supposed to be so happy about it, Suze. But I'm a lyrics guy. I could care less sometimes. Yeah, I really am. Yeah. And it means that I listen to some artists who people regard as being quite dreadful, and I wouldn't care a bit if the lyric was poetic to me.
Yeah.
So if you folks watching, if you wanted to know what the difference is between me and Sanjay, there you have it. I'm much more deep than him.
Yes, I'm very shallow. Give me a catchy tune and I'm good enough for me.
It's cool, man. Though. It's cool. It's just we're all at different places in different things in music. Music can love us all. So
exactly, no matter whatever gets you into it, that's good enough. Yeah,
absolutely.
Whatever gets you there creating and keeps you inspired, that is good enough.
Now, I wanted to ask you, and that brings me just your attitude there. For people who haven't seen Sanjay's channel, you should see it from this interview. You're a very positive guy. Now, common sense says nobody's positive all the time. Everybody has bad days. Everyone gets grumpy. I'm sure Dahati, if she's there, will tell us, that before your first cup of coffee or something, you're not a nice guy.
She is here.
Hey, Dahati. She didn't take much encouragement, did she?
I jumped right in. Like, if you want me to be in the spotlight, I will surely be in the spotlight.
Dahati, tell us a little bit of inside scoop about this positive guy. What makes him not so positive?
What makes him not so positive?
There's a lot of stuff. Where to begin?
Let me tell you.
Really? Yeah.
When he was actually working in the office, having to shake people's hands. People
really?
just coming up to him and just being like very aggressive, like shake my hand sort of a thing. He hates that because then he gets sick right after.
Okay.
It's like not everyone washes their hands. And now we've learned through the pandemic that it's really important.
You shouldn't
a little OCD in that way. And yeah, so I was like, yeah. And some of these people are just like, I saw you this morning. I'm shaking your hand again.
It's the most hilarious thing. I feel like I hear that along. But I mean, he doesn't really get upset that much. I think like if there's injustices, even like someone parking the wrong way, taking up 2 spots, or like
I'm hearing OCD here a lot.
He likes things in place, but not like
see that
here
from
in
the
a crazy
videos.
way.
I can see that from the B-roll.
We're both kind of like that though, so he's lucky he has me.
we would get along in that way because I'm a little bit OCD.
But maybe very like aggressive, like
on that subject of positivity, and I want to sort of touch on dealing with negativity a little bit, because as YouTubers we sometimes, now I don't want to oversell this because I'm sure like me it's not a big part of what I do. I don't get a whole bunch of hateful comments. Most of what I get is love, and the reason I bring this up is to help the viewers a little bit, because although they're not all YouTubers, they're going to be exposing their music to the world, and they're going to get all kinds of opinions about that after they've stopped showing it just to their mum and their friends, right? Then they're going to get some real opinions. So when you get that negative comment under your videos, what have you, how do you deal with it? Firstly, in 2 different ways: emotionally and practically, in whatever order you want.
Okay. This is such a good question. And I want to kind of give you the real side of it as well as how I deal with it, right? Because first is the reaction. And no matter how many times I get positive comments, the negative one sticks out. And that's the one that it just keeps playing in your head. But I mean, that's with anything you do in life, you're going to tend to focus on, the negative criticism more than the positive. But so yeah, it does happen. It does get in my head, but I need to remind myself of the positive stuff, the people that did leave something good, did say something good. But maybe, if you're a starting artist, you might not have enough of an audience where you have a good balance of the two. You do need criticism. You do need some constructive criticism is good. But you might not even be getting that good balance yet. And at times, and even when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't have tons of followers immediately. So how did I know that? How did I keep on going with some of those negative comments? I had to just trust what I was doing, and trust also that I could find my audience, or trust yourself that you can find your audience. Not everyone you meet is going to love the content that you produce, but if you believe in it, and if you're making something that you love, I believe there's an audience for everything out there, for everyone out there.
Mm,
And it might not be an audience of millions, could be a small audience, but if you believe in what you do and you love what you do, find that audience that appreciates what you're doing. If you do want an audience of millions, you might want to start looking into creating content that's more mainstream. So,
right. Yeah.
but yeah, the negative comments will come, negative criticism will come. Believe in what you do. Take the constructive criticism, try to make yourself better through it, but try to focus on the positive and just keep going. Make the next thing. Keep just moving forward. That's what I.
And how about and that's wonderful. But how about practically? I mean, would you respond or? I mean, some people are like you should engage and be really nice to them. So, but how do you deal with that practically?
If it's constructive criticism, I do respond. In fact, some people have given me tough constructive criticism, and I need to take that. I need to be able, and you know what? It might not even be something that I'm like, okay, I'm going to change what I do because that one person said so. It may not be what I want to do with my channel or my music, but I respond to constructive criticism. I don't respond to just nonsense criticism.
Right,
I ignore it. I also feel, though, on my channel that everybody has a right to their opinion. So if they really disliked what I said or my opinion about something, they can totally say that. So I never try to delete those comments or hide them or anything. People's opinions can be out there, but of course, yeah, if it's just nonsense, I just ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me personally, if it's all caps, I probably don't get through half of a paragraph. I'll just, I know what this is all about. And if it's just full of swearing or something, I do delete that. I'm just like,
yes,
no,
me too. I do delete those.
That's not
ones.
what I need in my community. And I think that to anyone who's sort of building a community, communities are not just about rules and imposing rules. They're also about building a culture within that community. So I feel with Creative Source that it's just got a positive culture. Now, part of that is because I do weed out the really bad stuff. I just get rid of it. It's just a way of saying, I shouldn't have to educate you in good manners. That, your parents should have done that. I'm not going to spend time on it. Gone. But also the other thing I'd suggest, and sorry to answer your question for you, is be too busy for it. I mean,
yes,
you know this, right?
Absolutely.
You can't spend all of your time, debating with really angry people. You've got to get on with creating whatever you're creating, whether you're recording a song or, and artists these days, you're not just recording songs, right? It could be photo shoots. It could be all kinds of different tasks you've got, involved in what you're doing. So be too busy to get involved in silly squabbles with people.
It's so much more important to keep moving on with your craft than getting stuck in something that somebody's saying.
Absolutely. Now, YouTubing. Let's talk about YouTubing for a moment. It's always nice to talk to another YouTuber because I'm like, finally, somebody understands.
I feel the same.
But I'm interested in how has the creative process of YouTubing, if that's a word, affected your musical creative process? How has it impacted it?
Huge impact. In one really good way. You know how I know a lot of musicians do this, a lot of producers do this, composers. You start creating a piece of music and you write a few bars or you get a nice loop going and you build it up with a few instruments and then you don't know what to do with the next. You kind of just set it aside and maybe move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I get to use all of that content for my videos.
Yes.
That's one huge benefit. So I could just come up with this really nice loop and I'm like, wow, this has got a great groove to it. I don't know what else to do with it, but guess what? I can put it in my YouTube video and use it for background music, do a tutorial on it. So that's one really good thing. At the same time, it means I have tons of unfinished beats, unfinished pieces of music. And time doesn't always permit me to complete things. So YouTube does take a lot of time, but I really enjoy it. And it's kind of one of the choices that I made, right? And I continue to make, and this could change, but for now, I really enjoy the YouTubing part of things. I enjoy making little short beats and then, sharing the instruments I used for it, or, hey, I use this new piece of gear for this. And I love doing that. And right now I'm just having so much fun doing that. The completing songs and putting them out on Spotify as taking like second tier. But yeah, if I had more time for it, YouTube is something that does take a lot of time. So yeah, the creative work is taking a backseat for now, but I hope to change that soon. But the creative process for YouTube now, I'll tell you another huge benefit is having deadlines.
Yeah,
because I need to get that video out on Saturday or whatever. This beat has to be finished. And if it's not to the level that I want it to be, too bad, it's due. It's got to get out as it is. And I think that's valuable because having too much time to keep tweaking a beat is not good. If you give yourself a deadline, and since I have a self-imposed deadline, it's hugely beneficial.
I had, before I started the channel, I had this collection of about 6 or so songs, which I'd recorded over the previous 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
And they were just they were finished really, but I'd never committed to saying they were finished. And at some point I had to make a series of videos where I needed to demonstrate some completed songs.
Yeah.
And I just had to finish them off and master them and release them. They had to be out there. And I was like, I felt so light after that. I thought, I'm like ready to write my next 6 songs now because they're kind of their history now. They're gone. I can't do anything else about them. It's really worth having deadlines. And I'm often saying, especially now where we can release things so easy. You could literally record a song today. You could master it in the evening and you could jump on DistroKid and release it. Honestly, you could do that. And it's a really healthy thing to do. First of it just gets rid of that sort of preciousness that we sometimes have about our music, and it just makes you make quick decisions. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to run with that. And you go with it. You're not second guessing everything. So I think deadlines. It just sounds so boring, doesn't it? It sounds like the sort of thing an accountant would say, deadlines.
But it works. The practical thing, it just works.
It works. Absolutely. Yeah. Man, I'm just going to pop a few of the comments up. We're getting a lot of comments through here. I'm just going to pick them at random here. Here we go. What about this one? Jossie Music, watching tutorials by both of you, they really help me. But I kind of feel that we're focusing too much for all this technical stuff and less on music. What is your opinion on that? That's really, really good. We actually we touched on that a little bit in our pre-show, didn't we, Sanjay? So yeah, I'll let you go ahead with that one.
I completely agree with what you're saying, that yes, a lot of this stuff can get too technical and it may take away from music, but it's up to you to not let it do that. So there are tons of videos out there and some can be hugely technical and some just give you the surface. And kind of what I do with my channel is I try to aim every video at somebody who might just be starting out and has no idea about any of this stuff. And I want them to get from open this plugin, and by the end of this video, hopefully you're getting some use out of it and it's making a difference to your music. And that's enough. So yeah, it depends on, I think, what you're trying to do next with your music. Some of the technical stuff is fun. And yeah, Mike and I were talking about that. Yeah, we like to geek out on stuff sometimes, but it has to come back to the music because that's why we're here. And that's what we're aiming for in the end, is to make music that impacts somebody, that moves somebody, that touches somebody. And yeah, it has to come back to that. I don't mind having those geeky conversations and getting technical. And sometimes I like understanding the intricacies of a device or a plugin, but it has to translate back to making better music. Yep. So I agree with you. If you don't have time for the technical stuff, that's cool too. If you're into just loading a plugin and going through the presets, there is nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and use a preset because you are actually creating music and getting to that final point.
I'm really into that as well. I mean, and I sometimes feel that we can lose fact of what music is really about. It's one of the few things left in life which is purely for enjoyment. And it's almost entirely an emotional experience, right? even if that's just, some EDM which gets you dancing, that's the music's done its job. It's got you in that mood where you want to dance, right? Or maybe a comedy track that's made you laugh, right? When I talk about emotional, I'm not always talking about heavy emotions or whatever, but anything that evokes some kind of emotional reaction. That's what music is about. That's why we're doing it.
Absolutely.
I mean, the rest of it's fascinating and they're all tools, right? But lose sight of it and it becomes really tedious to me personally. There you go. I'm going to say hi to some people here. We have HiFi Midi here. HiFi Midi's got a great channel. I've watched so much of his stuff. He's a great player, by the way, Sanjay. If you haven't checked out his channel, he's right into virtual instruments and things, but he does live videos. He demonstrates, like, he's doing all the key switches on the guitars and things. He does it live. Cool. It's like he's got 4 hands or something, right?
So cool. He's HiFi Midi. I'm going to check it out. He's got a great channel.
I'll also say hi to Mimo Japan. Mimo Japan's really interesting. He's one of my devoted followers, and I know he watches HiFi Midi as well, and I know he watches you as well. He lives in Japan. He's a great musician. He uses a lot of virtual instruments, but he's one of the guys that I think of when I think that we shouldn't lose sight of this as YouTubers. He lives in Japan. Usually they live in small apartments over there, right? So although he's a keyboard player, he can't afford to have, he can't have one of those big 88 key keyboards, right? And he's not going to have a subwoofer, and so people in different situations around the world don't always have the luxury that you and I may have of space and gear and things, but they make it work. He makes fantastic music.
Absolutely. By the way, I love Japan, my favorite place in the world.
We did have a little discussion about that. And
I recorded my first music video of a song that I wrote in Tokyo. So that's
is that on your channel?
That's on my channel. The song is called Undone. And that was my first release.
And is this one of those things that is it one of those things that you spent a lot of time on and then everybody ignored it when you released it? Or
this one actually got a decent response and people continue to watch it. Mike and I were talking before we started this live stream about spending tons of time on certain YouTube videos which just fall flat, nobody watches. And some of mine have been cover songs that I've done and shot this like a very cool music video style. And I love the outcome, but nobody watched it. It was just always disappointed me.
So true. So true. Another just quick shout out to Ed Thorne. Another good YouTuber is Ed. He's sort of new to the game. Me and him chat a lot. And he's got a great channel, really nice channel. He's English, so he's not quite as happy as we are. But he does have a great channel. Northern English there. So we will get back to some of your questions and things later, guys. I've got a little sort of segment or two to go into here, Sanjay.
Okay.
I'm going to start living on the edge here a little bit. I thought, hang on, I've got to prepare this. I've got to press some buttons and do some things here. I thought we could have some fun. Okay. And we could look at my channel and you could give me some advice about where I'm going wrong on a specific subject.
Gosh.
And hopefully we can expand that to how advising other people, not about starting just a YouTube channel, but starting a community around their music and things like that, and a little bit of social media advice.
Okay.
And then I thought it would be fun if I could humbly give you some suggestions from some observations I've made about your channel. So here we go.
Let's do it.
Now I've got a problem, Sanjay. I've got a problem.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain it with some visuals. I'm putting out these videos and we want to be on top, right, with the search ranking for particular terms. I want to be, but I'm often finding myself at number 2 or number 3. I'll give you a demonstration here. So I'm going to bring up this is a search term for YouTube.
Of course.
Complete 13. Yeah. I made a video about Complete 13. Let's just see what actually happens when you search for Complete 13 on YouTube. There I am at number 3. I'm at number 3. Yes, you should. Somebody's above me here. Just the 2 spaces above me on that search ranking. First of all, a video you did for Native Instruments is beating me here. All right. Yeah. And there you are at number 1, You're sort of dominating me here. Okay, just saying. Right. Now, hold off on the advice for a moment. Hold off.
Okay.
I'm going to go to a second example here to kind of give you a real idea. I want to give other people an insight of you really as a person. Oh dear. Okay, this one, Arturia Keylab 88 Mark II. Wonderful keyboard, by the way. I bought one. I know you like it, but you actually use the S88, don't you, as your everyday keyboard?
Yeah, S88 is my main keyboard, yeah.
And that's cool as well. I love that one too. But I did this one. I made a video about it. I got number 2 in the rankings this time. Number 2 in the I don't know if you're seeing a pattern emerge here, but the amazing thing is, people, you can see Sanjay's at the top there. He made the video a good probably 10 months before me, and he had the foresight.
A huge difference,
right? He had the foresight to add that yellow arrow to point at my video.
Yes.
And my question is, I'm stating simply the best, and he was answering me like ahead of time. He's got like time travel capabilities, pointing down, and he was saying, "Is this the best keyboard?" So, one final example for you.
Yeah. But do you see? That's something I should point out. My arrow is pointing to your video.
I know, exactly.
I'm suggesting your video, right?
I know. It's incredible. And you knew to do that ahead of time. Last example. So I thought, well, he can't beat me every single time. I don't think he can beat me every single time. There must be a search term where he's not going to pin me down and beat me up with a baseball bat, metaphorically. I'm sure you would never do that in real life, Sanjay. Well, I don't know. Actually, I've never met you in real life. But anyway, moving on. So this search term is where I went next. Why is Mike from Creative Source so awesome?
I've been working on this video.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Exactly. That's what I thought. I thought he wouldn't have. And look at this. Look at this. Top result there. Top result. And there you are with that arrow again. Look at the third position here. This is Ed. We said hello to Ed earlier. He's a previous guest on the show. I don't think I'll be having him on the show anymore after this. And then we've got Pete Johns down here.
Oh, yeah.
Pete Johns, he's a great guy. A friend of mine wants to have my babies. So
Pete Johns' secret is out.
that's absolutely. So I guess the serious question is here. I mean, is this something that you really focus on? Is this something you spend a long part of your day on? Like, you know, what should I make videos about? What should their titles be? You know.
Do I spend a lot of time on it? Not as much as I should. I'll say this. Let me address the Arturia one. I had that video out long before your video came on, right? So that's a difference there in the view counts. I do spend time on thumbnails and titles because according to the YouTube algorithm, that's what matters most. And it kind of makes sense, right? If you have a catchy title and if you have a thumbnail that catches people's eyes and it makes them interested to know, well, what's he or she going to say, then people are going to click on it and YouTube rewards that. So it doesn't always work because sometimes, you know, it's really, I sometimes make content that I think is truly valuable, but it's difficult to come up with a title or a thumbnail that's really going to grab people. And sometimes I don't like the YouTube algorithm for that reason, because I know they're not going to show this video to tons of people, but I wish they would because people would really like it. Right. But yes, I do. And the reason I do spend a lot of time with the titles and thumbnails and really strategically thinking about the videos I make is because I want this content to reach people. And we have to deal with the YouTube algorithm. And if we don't play the game of the YouTube's algorithm, our videos just don't get served up to even our subscribers. YouTube won't show it to our subscribers or won't suggest it to our subscribers if it doesn't gain enough traction to begin with. So there is a lot of thought that goes into it, but again, not as much as I should. I wish I could. I wish I would spend more time on that. Because
so do you think, you know, for those guys, and you know, I have done this actually. I had a music channel years ago, you know, where I'd release my songs, and I got like 10 views from my mum or something like this. You know, that's a really hard space to be in, actually promoting your music out there. So, you know, is there a parallel there? You know, should we be advising people, hey, maybe you do have to start off with some popular covers first, because
Yes.
that's how people are going to find you, because nobody's searching for you otherwise.
Yeah, and
It's the hard reality.
and it's the hard reality. It is, and yeah, I think even when it comes to music, there's popular genres out there. There's popular music. There are cover songs. People will Google a popular song, and your cover of it uh, will show up in a lot more search results than your original song because people just don't know to look for you
Right.
yet. So there are ways to build traction with anything creative that you do. And sometimes you bite the bullet and you do what the audience wants to see because that brings the audience to you so that you can deliver another message. And that's kind of what I try to do with my YouTube channel. And you can do with your music as well. Get the audience through the door first.
Yeah,
And sometimes that
absolutely.
means
Yeah.
saying, hey, like I do with my Saturday news reports. At first, it was me saying, hey, I found another free plugin you can download, so come and watch this video. But once the audience came in the door and they started understanding what I'm conveying in my video, then they were like, I'm going to tune in every week for this because it's interesting. And I'm not just coming anymore just for the freebie. Just like your audience might stop coming just for the cover songs and would get introduced to your original music. It's so important. And you know, it's hard. And especially for people who are super creative to say, I've got to do something just to please the audience right now. I know everybody, even successful artists, struggle with this because they don't want to go on stage every night and just play the hit song that everyone wants to hear. But
It's
get the
such a
audience
fine
through the
line.
door.
You know, it's such a fine line, though, isn't it? Because if we all have that attitude, I mean, I'm not in the business of trying to be popular music wise, but if we were all in that sort of attitude of, let's do what's popular, you know, things have become a little bit bland.
Mhm.
And then once in a while, someone like Billie Eilish comes along and goes, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do stuff like anybody else, and you're all going to love me. And wow. And to me, that's a little bit about instinct as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
She just knew her and her brother knew that as they were creating that music, hey, this just does sound good, even though it's not exactly what everyone else is doing.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know what? Every now and then there are artists who truly bring something extremely unique and they come with it at the right time when the audience is ready to take in something like that, and everything lines up beautifully. And I think
Yeah.
that's partly what happened with Billie Eilish. But also, if you go back to some of her early stuff like Ocean Eyes was much more mainstream, and the
Right.
production is much more mainstream compared to the stuff she's putting out now. So even if you go back to some of the original stuff she did, Ocean Eyes wouldn't stand out to you right now as, hey, that's a Billie Eilish song.
Right.
Her
Right.
voice is a little distinctive, but the production is kind of similar to some other stuff that was happening at the time. So I would kind of say that she and her brother kind of used the same tactic of, let's get something that is going to resonate very quickly, very well with the audience, and then let's push them some other really cool, unique stuff that they've never heard before.
Right. Right. It's true. Very good. I'm just going to throw up some questions before I forget as well. I did ask people before the show to submit some questions, and I just realised that I haven't asked any of them. I'm a rude host. So let's throw this one up first of all. Walter Randall, what would you say is the most overlooked part of song production? What part doesn't get enough attention for its importance, or what gets too much emphasis? That's a good question, Walter. Thank you.
You know, I'll speak about my experience in writing songs and what I've figured out was overlooked in my own production. I think I really overlooked for a long time. I'm trying to train myself differently now. I overlooked instrument choice to start. Like the starting point of a song, instrument choice. I would just go in there and just start throwing instruments at that song because I came up with an interesting hook, and then just piling stuff on without thinking, well, I've already got this guitar, taking up this frequency range, and now I'm throwing a piano in there. Oh, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'll just pile stuff in there, and it just becomes a hodgepodge and just a muddy mix, and you lose inspiration very quickly that way. because you're not reaching what you're hearing in your head. I always pull back now. I say, I'm going to just choose these 4 instruments. I'm going to go with that and then get to arrangement. That helps me move along much quicker. So these days, we have so many plugins, within reach that we can throw everything at any little piece of music. But I think that gets overlooked these days in particular. Before, you just had a 4-person band and all you had was a bassist, guitarist, and a vocalist, and that's your song. But now we can put violins and strings at home on a laptop. So, and we tend to try to do that with everything. I think pulling back is something that gets overlooked these days. And I do it myself. So I think that's where I'm learning. And I think other people, it's kind of resonated with my audience members as well.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I'll throw another one up here quickly.
Sure.
This is from Isaac Wells. Now, quick disclosure here. Isaac is actually my godson.
Cool.
And it's really funny because I lived for many years in a place in England called the Isle of Wight, a tiny little place. And while I lived there, I was very good friends, still am, with Isaac's dad, Simon. G'day, mate. And Isaac was born and I became his godfather. But I moved away from there and I moved to a different part of the UK and then I moved to Australia. So I haven't actually really been around Isaac as his godfather, but we've kind of got to know each other a little bit through my YouTube channel. And because he's an extremely enthusiastic musician, he's a great guitar player. And I think at the moment he's kind of getting into the sort of orchestral or sort of, what should I say, like film music, game music, that kind of thing. Is where he's heading at the moment. So anyway, just a little bit of disclosure, Isaac, pleasure to put your question up. What technical skills are essential to become a media composer, and what equipment music tech should an aspiring composer have as part of their toolkit?
Okay, lots to answer there. Technical skills. You know what? If I always tell people, you don't need to know music theory. You can make music without it. Classical and film composition, I think, does benefit from some music theory knowledge. So if you can spend some of your time doing that, I think it will benefit you. Also, because if you are aspiring to get to the level where you can actually conduct the orchestra making this music and not just make it on your keyboard and on your laptop, then being able to talk the talk, to speak their language, would be incredibly useful. So start learning now. I think, so yes, for film composition, I would say maybe music theory would be a good place to start learning now, because you have a lot to learn. Once you've got that, I think as far as technical tools, or what was the question? What equipment or music tech, right? These days, and I heard this, I don't remember where I heard it, but somebody who was in the film, who was a film composer, was talking about this and saying that you can't get by with low quality. If you're doing film composition and pitching your tracks, you can't get by anymore with low quality strings that came free with a bundle that you bought, with your audio interface. You have to go out and get quality sounds. The good thing about that is quality sounds don't have to be extremely expensive anymore. Native Instruments has quality strings now. You don't have to buy the $1,000 Spitfire collection of orchestral tools to be able to do that. Start small, hone your skills first, but know that once you do start pitching, they're expecting a certain level of quality, even for video games, and especially for films. So you need to work yourself up to those quality of sound collections in your arsenal. Doesn't mean go and spend your whole paycheck on it now. You have to build up to that. You can still start learning those skills right now and build and invest in yourself as you go along and get to different stages of that music career.
Absolutely. You know, we've touched on that dirty and darkest of words, music theory. Two words, music theory there. And I'm often sort of finding myself wanting to say this to people. And I think I've developed a little phrase. I don't know if you'll like this or not, Sanjay, but remember that music theory is descriptive, not prescriptive.
Yes.
Meaning it describes what we do with music. It doesn't tell us what to do. So don't think of it as this big bad thing that's going to tell you must have this harmony here and you must do this. No, it explains what happens in music is essentially what it does. It doesn't tell you what to do. You can do what you
Exactly.
like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm classically trained, so I understand that stuff. But when I sit down to my keyboard and start to write a piece of music, I'm not thinking, okay, quarter note, half note. No, I'm not thinking like that.
No,
I'm just thinking,
exactly.
what comes out, what feels right,
Mhm.
what sounds good to
Mhm.
me, and we'll take it from there. Now, if I did need to translate that to another musician who came by, who knows music theory, I can speak the language, so it
Common
does make
language.
that easier, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Precisely. Good stuff. I will get back to some more questions later, folks. We're going to go into the second part of this segment here, where I'm going to give Sanjay C some advice. First of
Nice.
all, I was advised not to include this segment by my lovely
Oh,
partner,
God.
Susie. So sorry about this in advance.
Your segments are scary. I never know what to expect.
Well, this is fun to put together. I've been busy with some Photoshop, and I'll tell you why. Because I noticed amongst some of the other successful YouTubers around, and there are many of them, I noticed a few things about them. But first of all, let's just bring up again. I've just got to do something here with the whole, I don't know how to do the technical. Oh, there we are. We're back to here. Yes, there's Ed. Thanks, Ed, in the chat there. So, I thought it would be interesting. I noticed a few things, Sanjay, and I'm just going to humbly give you advice, and we'll think of this as a makeover. I've been busy in Photoshop here.
Nice.
I can't give you advice about music or your personality. You've got a glowing personality. You're a very talented person. So I thought, well, we would just go. So I asked you to send me some photos. So you sent me this photo, and some would say that was your first mistake. Sending me a photo here. So I thought, look, we could do some little updates here. The first thing, I wasn't sure about the suggestion you as a keyboard player were making here, that the guitar is dead. Okay, I was looking at a t-shirt here. You guys have been alleging this since the 80s. It hasn't come true yet. So I thought I'd just do a quick update there for your t-shirt. Just to
Much better.
Much better. Much better. The t-shirt companies were stuffed up with the perspective there, but there we go. Now I've been looking for inspiration because you've done very, very well on your channel. I think, what are you on, 270 odd thousand subscribers or something at the moment?
We just reached 280, right, a few days ago. Yes.
See, they fly by. You can't even keep up with them. But there are still a few guys who are bigger than both of us and have been around a bit longer. And I thought, what's the trend? What's the thing that they all have in common? And I found that it came down to one thing, and that's hair.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
I mean, I could take some lessons here as well. So I've got some suggestions, hairstyles here, and they have been inspired by some of our counterparts. So the first one, I've given them names as well. I've given them names. So the first one that I have for you here, this is called the Hewitt. Okay. And it looks like this. I think. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. I've even. I'm
already just looking at that. I want to do this to my hair, right? I want to. And look, my non-existent hair.
Your academy's got a name there. Produce like a bro, which I think. It's good, huh? And it suits you.
Sideburns too. The sideburns.
The sideburns. Yeah, there you are. But it was the next one, because I thought, you can't wear this forever. You're gonna, like me, you're gonna get older at some stage. And so for when you're moved on a little bit further, the next one I have for you is called the Beato.
Oh.
And this one really suits you, I have to say. Looks like this. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Wow,
Distinguished comes to mind. Distinguished comes to mind. Yeah, what do you think?
I like that style.
It's good, isn't it? Wow. Yeah. If you can get some gray hair dye.
Do you know that I used to have a lot of hair? I used to have long hair, like down to here, for years. Yeah.
Did you? Did you really?
I did.
Long hair.
Long hair.
Because that's funny you should say that.
My wife's looking for an old picture right now.
You'd mentioned in one of your interviews, I can't remember which, that you sometimes at some certain point you forced yourself to play a different kind of music. And I thought, you may have that happen in the future. So should you decide that the Sanjay C YouTube channel is going to take more of a rock feel, right?
Yeah.
Then the next one I have for you, I'll tell you the name of it first. It's called the Fricker.
Oh, nice.
And it looks like this. I think it's adorable.
Oh,
How about
I'd be
that?
just doing this like the whole day. I
You
love
would.
that.
I don't know if Glenn's got that copyrighted or anything there. I may get into trouble for that in this video. I'll be demonetized or something. But look at that. It's got something going. I'll tell you what, if Game of Thrones hadn't already happened, you could have auditioned for it on the basis of this, really, couldn't you? Yeah.
Grow my beard out and have that hair and that t-shirt done.
Free advice. Free advice.
This is hilarious.
Creative
I need you to
sport.
send me these pictures. I'm going to put them on my Instagram.
Just careful to Hearty, especially with that last one, because the ladies will be coming.
That's right.
That's okay.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it. I love that he gets attention.
They want to stroke those locks. So good stuff there. Thank you for taking that on the chin, Sanjay. It's always a goal of mine to humiliate my guests when they come onto the channel.
I loved it. You made me look better.
Well, I'm sure that's not true at all. But so one of the questions I wanted to ask you, the last of my questions.
You found an old picture.
There's another one.
Oh, you didn't find my super long hair.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Okay, but you found this. Up there. Here. The camera shows that.
Oh,
right.
wow.
Well,
we can see the hair. That's the important part.
I have hair. Yes.
Beautiful.
Man.
I also had long hair at once, and I had a beard and long hair. People used to say I looked like Jesus quite a lot.
Oh, nice. That's a compliment.
That was a compliment. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because I like to talk about this, because I want to talk about gear for a moment. Now, I know we're supposed to say at this point, being good modern YouTubers, it's not about the gear. The gear doesn't matter. But let's face it, open out that package, peeling off the plastic. It's exciting. I don't want to ask you about gear you've already got, but what have you got your eye on, or what do you think might be coming, which you're salivating over?
Okay. Okay. What always gets me is synths. Even though you hardly ever see me talk about synths on my channel. There are excellent synth channels out there, so I don't do a lot with synths, but they've started to really, really get me excited. And there's one thing that I actually have. So this is new. No, and my audience doesn't even know this, but I actually got, and this is something so exclusive to Creative Sauce right now. Yeah. I actually got a new addition to my studio, and it's the Mellotron, and not the old original one. This is one of the newer ones. But
there's a newer one.
I was thinking, it's the new. What is it? The M4000 Mini. It's anyway. It'll be on my channel eventually. And I was thinking, I waited so long to get it because I was like, does this make sense to just
hang on a second?
The thing is just loading up samples.
Does it work with tapes and things, or is it's sample?
It's just sample based. So I was thinking, it's kind of like something I could just get in plug-in form. But the instant that I turned that thing on, I started to play it. It just felt different, and it just felt inspiring. And they got it right with the way that they mix two sounds. So they're still based on the original sounds from the original Mellotron and those original recordings, but now they're in electronic sample form.
Don't play Strawberry Fields on it. That's that's like a guitarist playing Stairway to Heaven, isn't it? Surely.
But they got it right, and that was the thing that. So it was one of those that I'd had my eye on for a long time, and I finally got it, and it was worth it. But yes, synths really do it for me. Microphones as well. If I could get so the mics are the tough thing too, because they can get so expensive. And then there was just those iconic microphones out there that everybody just wants to have, and so do I. And I'll give you an example, just like a Neumann U87. I mean, that's just something exactly. That's everyone's dream.
That's on my list. U87, C414.
The classic stuff. You know, I'll tell you this though. Every now and then I keep thinking, I don't want to just go out and get the best of or the most iconic of everything. I'd stop wanting and I have so much fun researching this stuff. I have so much fun like thinking about and dreaming about this stuff. So,
And maybe
I
it
don't
would be disappointing though. Wouldn't that be the worst thing? Because I mean,
I know,
for
right?
many, many years, the only mic that I recorded with was the Rode NT1A. It was the only, I mean, it just did its job for me. And when I
Yeah.
bought it, I thought it was expensive at that time. I thought, oh, this
Yeah.
is nice, proper stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just a bit ordinary, but I still use it. I still, for some reason, if I just want to record something real quick or just do a rough track, it just seems like, oh yeah, I can grab that. I know what it's going to do. But what if I got a U87 and I went, oh,
Yeah, right.
I know.
Exactly.
And
I mean, after
you
years of
can't just get
dreaming
it.
about it.
Yeah, I know. You can't just get a U87. You've got to get a really good preamp as well to go with it. And then, and proper advice. I've definitely heard of people saying that they got it and then they got rid of it and got one of these because at home they were in an untreated room and U87s don't like untreated rooms. So
right. But you're using the Shure SM7B, right?
Yeah.
That's an excellent microphone too. And it's not that expensive. That's another reason why I sometimes wait on this stuff, because Shure makes excellent microphones. I mean, you hear them on commercial, hit songs out there with this SM7B. It's such a great mic. And, $4,000 versus what's that? $400, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't know about American dollars. But yeah,
I think $400 or $500 or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm with you on the microphones. I'm guitars. There's still. Don't tell Susie because I bought about 5 or 6 of my dream guitars already this year, and I've been telling her that I don't need any more. But there's been one that's been on my mind. But
which one is that?
It's just a classic old Gretsch. It's a 6120.
Okay.
It's just like an old 50s thing, and it just is. It's just I wouldn't even probably really play it that much, but I just grew up in some of my idols, and I've got a nice Gretsch. You'll see it in my video, this green guitar, and it's lovely. Since I've been enjoying it so much. But this is more like, I mean, we're talking, well, I don't know, in American dollars, probably 2,000 to 3,000 for a new one. Get an old one, $25,000-$30,000. Pick your number. They can go up there crazy, but
I know.
I don't know.
The vintage synthesizers really get me too, and for the same reason.
Oh, you've got what do you have?
I have the Roland Juno 106.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, that one you can get a decent deal on eBay or on the used market. You can find those. They aren't that expensive, and it exceeded my expectations completely. But of course, now I want a Jupiter, right? A Jupiter 8, and those are astronomically expensive.
They are crazy. Look, Arturia makes them great. Arturia do some great stuff.
They do. They do. You can, if you go either the Arturia route or even Roland has their plug-in versions of these.
That's right.
That just sound awesome. Nobody's going to hear the difference. But I will say this, that when it comes to the hardware versus software thing, some keyboards, some pieces of gear are inspiring to just handle, to play. When you play them, and the Mellotron was one of the things that surprised me, and the Roland Juno 106 too. When you play it, when you're there playing it versus loading up a plugin, the connection to the instrument is there. And I would say the same thing about a Fender Rhodes electric piano. There's a connection to the instrument that they get right. And when that happens, you've truly got an inspiring instrument on your hands, not just something that sounds exactly like the old vintage thing that you're playing on a mini keyboard. There's a little difference.
That brings us to a question from someone called Mo, who submitted this question, I think on Facebook or YouTube. Does real gear like compressors, is it worth it? He's saying, I mean, is it better than VSTs? And he says, and this collab is legendary. Lots I've learned from both of you. Much love. Thanks, Mo. So yeah, is things like compressors or what have you, do you use much outboard gear? I think I see some on your desk there.
I have I have an outboard compressor. I have a Universal Audio LA2A right there, which is one of those old iconic compressors. So my immediate answer is no, because when it comes to outboard gear like that has been replicated, emulated in software form so much. I think they make really great plugin versions of that right now. Most people won't be able to tell the difference. You're going to get something that's good enough. And I'll tell you, good enough for commercial Spotify release. So don't worry too much about it. Well, the hardware is going to make a difference. It does a little bit, but for most people, I don't think it's worth it. Is it nice to have? Yeah, it's great. The one piece of hardware I would say that does make a difference is a preamp. That really colors your microphone and treats your microphone in a way that software just can't do, or not yet. Software can't do yet. So my preamp, I have a BAE 1073, which is modeled after the Neve 1073. And the moment that I plugged that in and I heard myself through the mic, I was like, yep, totally worth it.
But that's ready for your U87 now. I think you should treat yourself to that U87.
Okay. All right.
You're ready.
You heard that, babe? We're going to get the U87. She's all for it.
I want to do a shout out.
Anything he wants.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Whoa.
I'm doing it today.
Whoa. Okay. We better turn the cameras off for that. Now, moving. I can't believe I said that. Ricky is a great supporter of the channel. Thank you again, Ricky. You've made several donations in the past, and I'm so grateful to you, man, and to everybody who makes donations to PayPal and, of course, my Patreon people and that. It's such a great gesture. I mean, I don't want to go on about this too much, but I'm sure you find the same, Sanjay. The fact that people would part with their hard-earned money to support people like us is incredible. So thanks again to Ricky. So moving on to another question here. I'll try and get through some of them. Looking at the time here, because we're getting towards the end of our time. This was an interesting one. Look, in fairness, I don't think you'll be able to answer this, but you may be able to answer it. It's going to be fun to see if you can. It's got two parts to it here. This is from, I'm not probably going to butcher the name, Azray Norzuki. Hi, Sanjay Mike. I'm from Azray from Malaysia. Just started getting into production things, so I'd like to ask your opinion about what is the best mic position to record, wait for it, French horn audio. By the way, I'm currently using Behringer SL84C dynamic mic for recording, so I'll let you take this one, Sanjay.
Okay, the French horn, because I'm an expert at the French horn. I'm actually not sure about that. I don't play the French horn. I've never recorded any horn of anything, any type of horn. So I don't know what the best position is. I would suggest maybe check on YouTube to do a little Googling to find out what's the best position would be. I don't know. Mike, do you know the answer to this?
Well, I happen to be an experienced French horn mic recorder.
Yeah, that's why we see it all over your YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I have it. First of all, though, I will say that I love the French horn. It's a great instrument. It's very, very different to other brass. It hasn't got that blast to it. It's got more subtlety to it, in my opinion. It's mellow and nice. But I had no clue. In fact, I thought, oh, maybe I'd probably go a dynamic microphone, not too close to the bell. But I was totally wrong. Really? Do you know what's interesting about the French horn? And the reason I've included this question is because it's so fascinating what we do, and there's new challenges all the time, and you may just come up against this at some point. You never know. Most, if not all, other brass points forward, but the French horn, the bell, points more like backwards and sort of off to the side. And so apparently when they record it, they're focusing, and I think this is probably true of a lot of orchestral instruments, because you don't see them close mic things, right? They're much more into capturing the room that they're in. I mean, and that's a part of the sound, the concert hall or what have you. So, you know, specific concert halls will have specific sounds. But the thing about the French horn, which I learned by watching 3 YouTube videos on this subject today, was that when they record it, they record the reflections. So they may, some people, it looks like, will put something like an SM57 pointing towards the
Close
bell.
up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But they'll use one or two other microphones. This is the main thing that I was going to say to Azray. You probably, by the looks of it, want more than one microphone. One guy was suggesting one behind, one in front, and a number of people. In fact, I even saw a guy on a video. He had like a wooden board in front of him, and then he had a little I can't see my hands on the camera here. Oh, no, that's no good. But anyway, he had a small diaphragm condenser pointing away from the horn and pointing towards this board and actually recording the reflection off this wooden board.
That's
there you
so
go.
interesting.
Really interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Fascinating.
Wow. Yes.
So,
this stuff gets me. I love all this stuff. I love learning about this stuff. And I
so
learned
cool,
something new
isn't it?
today. Good.
Yeah, me too. Me too. If it wasn't for this question, I would never have researched that on YouTube in a million years, because I would have reached for my French horn VSTI every single time.
Exactly.
But yeah, fantastic question. Let's go for something else here. Oh, this was an interesting one. You may have an answer on this. There's another unusual question. Official, I'm going to butcher this name, but you have a go at this name for me, Sanjay. Official.
It's Kartik Tyagi.
Oh, good one. Oh, before we get into the question.
I bet you it's Kartik Tyagi.
Okay. Kartik Tyagi. Good, good. Before we go to this question, so what's the C stand for in Sanjay C?
You'll never know. Creative. It stands for creative.
Okay. Sanjay Creative. Okay. So how can streamers connect to condenser microphone guitar, both using reverb and delay effects separately via sound card and using backing track? So I think what he or she is pointing at towards here is, when you're streaming, how can you use effects such as reverb and delay? Any ideas on that one?
If you're streaming, I mean, I've never done this myself, but I know that there are, it depends on what mic you're using, but okay, I'll just say, what's the name? PreSonus has a new mic called a Revelator that is a USB mic that's especially for streamers. And they have effects built into the software that works with the mic. And it has things like reverb and everything, which is great. It's excellent for if you're doing like live performances like that. So karaoke live or something. And if you're doing karaoke, it means that you're mixing music in as well, live, right? So it's got a built-in mixer. So you have your karaoke music, you have your voice, you can add effects on your voice and send all that out to your stream just from the one mic. So,
that's so cool.
This is, it is a very cool all-in-one kind of solution, it sounds like, for what you're doing. And other companies do have some things like this, but I think PreSonus did it in a very simple way. So if you're just trying to stream, trying to throw some effects on there, I think they have a really good solution. And it's not that expensive either. It's called the Revelator.
The Revelator. I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's a condenser mic.
I'll be emailing my contact at PreSonus tomorrow.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's really nice.
You're doing live. Have you done a review on that one yet, Sanjay?
I didn't do a review. I did a comparison where I included the Revelator. So if you look on my channel, there's a video about the top USB mics, and one of them I reviewed was in that comparison is the Revelator. But definitely check it out, because it seems to be the solution for exactly what you're doing.
I'll just quickly say that there's simple solutions. You can get some very cheap little mixers. I can't remember the sort of brands and things. You'll see them about. And if you had one of those before you went into your audio interface, then you would have the opportunity to throw some on. The other solution is, and three things come to mind. My own audio interface, which is a PreSonus Studio 192, does have onboard DSP effects. So I've got reverb
and tried those ones.
Delay. I'm using it at the moment, so I've got a little bit of compression on my voice at the moment, and I'm doing a little bit of EQ as well. So you can definitely do that kind of stuff. That's a reasonably expensive solution. The other company that springs to mind that have onboard DSP, of course, is Universal Audio. And I'm not quite sure how possible it is. You may know you use Universal Audio, so whether their effects could be applied in real time, I'm certain they could be.
Yes, they totally can. But yeah, it's a much higher end, much more expensive
Much
solution.
more expensive solution if you're going down that way. On the cheaper end, and I haven't tried it, my good friend Ed, who was in the chat earlier, I know has reviewed it on his channel, but I think Steinberg, I think the is it the UR22C?
Yeah.
U22C, that little interface they do, that's got some onboard DSP as effects as well, and that's quite an affordable solution. So I
I
would
like
probably
the
go down that.
I like the suggestion of just throwing in a mixer that has some
Yeah.
onboard effects on it. So it's such a cheap solution, and it just
Yep.
works, no fuss at all. Mackie makes a really
Yep.
good one. Mackie has one that has a bunch of onboard effects, reverb, and everything. It sounds great. I use it for my synths and use the onboard effects just to when I'm playing around with my synths on that thing. Cheap solution, and it works.
And it's handy, I think, if you're streaming as well. If you can just have something at your fingertips and there's just buttons to switch on a delay or a reverb or whatever you want and turn a knob,
Yeah.
you know, that could be a really nice solution. I'm going to go to the chat here. Oh, the people have been busy in the chat tonight. I've been a little bit negligent of it. Ricky T. Brown's in there. I'm just going to pop him up on the screen. I don't know if you know Ricky T. Brown at all. He's sort of in a lot of the Facebook forums to do with recording. Just an awesome guy. Anyway, nice one, Sanjay. Big respect. One of my go-to reviewers. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about if you want to find out about sort of home recording tech guys, Sanjay is definitely one of the channels to go to. And you've touched upon it a couple of times. We haven't talked in detail about it, but your news segments that you do, do you have a regular day for those?
Yes. So every Saturday morning, 8 a.m.
Yep.
Eastern time, Eastern US time, I release a news report where I talk about the latest releases in the music gear world, whatever new plugins there are out there, new hardware coming out, or new announcements. And then I also talk about deals, right? So if I don't know, Amazon just dropped the price for one of my favorite mics to say, hey, now's the time to go buy that, or Native Instruments having a big sale on their plugins. And then I always also include some free plugins in there. But I think my favorite part about the news report is that I feature other artists. So usually in my videos, I make the music and I feature my music. Yep. I talk about my songs. But on the Saturday news reports, my wife actually curates beats that are submitted, and we get to feature independent artists out there who may not, have a big following yet. And we get to feature their music and talk about them a little bit and give a little link to their Instagram. And that's my favorite part of the news report. But yeah, every Saturday, watch my news report. I love it.
Can I just encourage the audience members to do that, whether it's myself or Sanjay, send us your music. Like, one of my great pleasures on a Sunday morning or something is to open up an email and someone says, hey, just thought I'd send you this song that I've recorded. Could you check it out? And me and Susie will usually have a listen to it. And I'm blown away by some of the music I get. There was one guy last week and people really hide this stuff. He'd written these amazing orchestral pieces, right? And he's never released them to anyone. He's saying, what do you think? Wow. Are they okay? And I'm like, okay, they're just amazing, really, really good. And I'm forgetting people's names now. I feel really rude about it. They'll know who they are. There's a gentleman towards the end of last year sent me this song which broke all the rules. You know, it was like a prog rock song. It was 8 minutes long. It just didn't, it's not music today. And I loved it. I enjoyed every moment of it. It had surprises in it. It had timing changes. It had key changes and unexpected melodies and great arrangements in it, and it's just a pleasure.
Super talented, super hardworking people out there who've got amazing music. And honestly, another reason I started having that segment in the news report where we feature another artist's music is because people need the motivation to get their music out there. Like you said, this guy was composing this amazing stuff, but he hadn't released any of it. He's kind of just sitting on it. And so one of the things that we always like to encourage people to do is put your music out there. You don't have to think it's the best thing out there, or it doesn't have to be to, just start putting your stuff and sharing your stuff with the world. It's such an important step you have to take.
Next question. I know you get asked this a lot, along with, are you Indian? Do you still have your 9 to 5 job? When I did that little bit at the beginning where we had the multiple choice, if you remember,
Yeah.
we're both Indian and speak fluent Hindi, or we both have full-time jobs. It was such a shame that one of the first two wasn't true, wasn't it? Wouldn't it be great if I revealed that we could just both sit here and we could have done this whole thing in Hindi? Anyway, what a disappointment that we just both took time off of music. And so anyway, Sanjay, do you still have a 9-to-5 job?
I do still have a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. It's still.
Do you think that's going to change at any time, or do you just want to keep this as fun and enjoyment?
It may change eventually. Right now, my 9-to-5 job, helps pay the bills, and you gotta do that. And I'd love for it one day to be. I'd love for this YouTube music thing to be my full-time gig. So yeah, that hopefully that day will come, but we'll see. But for now, yeah, still got to pay the bills with the 9-to-5.
If you want that U87, you've got to keep that data.
Exactly.
This is the thing that really kind of jerks me off about you. This is the thing that annoys me about you. I look at your content and I think I'm doing this full time, right? And some of my videos take about 3 days, and sometimes I do 2 or maybe 3 in a week, but a lot of weeks at the moment it's just 1. And that's because once I've done those, look, I want to be careful what I say here, because I never want to sound like I'm complaining about this absolute privileged position, right? This is going to be a bit of a sort of a privileged Westerner kind of whinge, but it takes time. It takes time to research products or to research ideas. I do kind of script my videos. I don't stick to the script rigidly, but it helps me to I think of videos as a story, like a song, right? It's got to make sense from beginning to end, and you've got to help walk people through that story. So it's not haphazard. It takes a lot of time. How do you do that with a full-time job? How do you figure that
out? You know what it is? It's not easy. It does take a lot of time. It does get very stressful sometimes, but I've kind of got into a rhythm now of where I know, and here's what I've done, because you said early on in this live stream that I learned now music and video production as well. And yeah, that was a new thing I had to learn to make YouTube videos. What I try to do nowadays is try to think of all the things that are a bottleneck for me, all the things that get in the way from me being as efficient as possible with this creative process. And I try to eliminate those things.
Do you answer all your comments?
What'd you say?
Do you answer all your comments?
No, not all of them. I try to get to them. Nowadays, what I do is actually when I release the video, I actually spend like a couple hours answering comments. So and I kind of tell my viewers that too. Hey, when I'm releasing a video, I'm going to be hanging out for a while. So come and, leave your comments. I'll try to answer as many as I can, but I do try to get to as many of the comments as I can.
It's a really tough one, isn't it? Because I always feel like, I would never want people to feel that I take them for granted, because, first, Creative Source fans, I adore you. I'm always overwhelmed by just how giving they are and how encouraging they are. I mean, it's just amazing. But there is always this kind of balance of, if I answer every email and every comment and every Facebook post and everything, I won't be able to make the videos for you, because they do take a certain amount of time. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is. I love the comment section. And in fact, on YouTube, I'm so much more active on my YouTube comments than on Instagram DMs or anything like that. And, but yeah, I don't answer every single one, because sometimes I've got somebody who asks, hey, does this device do this? And I'm like, you didn't watch the video? I covered that. And for those ones, I'm kind of like, no, you got to watch the video. Go, that's what you should be doing. I made the video for you.
I just want to say hi. I'm going to put up his comment. This is Lonely Rocker, and he's just saying Ricky T is a gem. We mentioned Ricky T earlier. Dan at Lonely Rocker, if you were to search on YouTube for acoustic treatment or DIY acoustic treatment, he's defined that search term. He is the search term. He's just got the whole thing going on there. Great guy from Canada. Just yeah, and I'm really hoping that myself and him can do a collaboration soon.
Very cool. I gotta
Got a
check
nice
that.
channel. Yeah, definitely check it out. Super nice guy as well. The next shout out I'll do is to, I'm just going to randomly go here. Is anyone you want to say hello to, Sanjay?
Do you even know who's?
Yeah, I just switched over to the comment thing here. So I'm saying Atul, I'm saying Satya, I'm seeing Eddie.
Rita.
Who else is in there?
Somebody was asking earlier on. Oh, where was it?
Now I'm scrolling through. Wow, I didn't even realize all these people were in here.
I know. People have been real busy. It's so
Shiv,
great.
what's up, Shiv?
What I'm looking for here is.
Hey, Scott Randall.
What's this one about? I'm going to put this one up. Is this an inappropriate? What's the musician's number 2 status symbol? A wife with a job. Number 1 status symbol. A wife with 2 jobs. I'm not sure I get that one. I'll tell you what. It does remind me of a joke, though. What do you call a musician without a girlfriend? Homeless.
Oh, that's a sad truth for so many of us musicians.
So rude.
Hey, Ron had an interesting question here. Can I throw this one in?
Yeah, can you put them up? I don't even know if you can put them up. Give it.
No, it doesn't really give me an option to do anything with them.
All right, I'll see if I can find it.
Ron asks, what do I think of my barefoot speakers? So yeah, those speakers that you see back here, those are barefoot footprint 01s. And I love them. They are a huge upgrade. They're expensive speakers, but the footprint 01s are actually, I think they make an 02 now. That's a little cheaper.
What did you have before?
Before this, I was actually using PreSonus Eris 4.5s,
which
are super awesome value and sound excellent. I still sometimes miss mixing with those because the mix did translate. It actually worked. So if you're looking for like a budget set of speakers, $200 for the pair, you can't go wrong with the PreSonus 4.5s. But these are just bigger, bassier, and clear. They also have this really cool trick. It comes with a little controller where you can change it from, it models different speakers. So you can just have the Barefoot 01 sound. You can have the HiFi stereo sound. You can have the sound of Yamaha NS10s. And those, those classic.
So similar to what Sonar, a bit like Sonarworks are doing that, aren't they?
Sonarworks has something like that too. But now this has it right on the control, and it just changes the frequency response a little bit. Yeah, super interesting. I really like them. I would highly recommend them. So yeah, if you're thinking about those and you got the money to spend on some speakers like that, yeah, they're really good.
I don't want to say this because I know that people are on different budgets at different times of their life, and I don't ever want to make them feel that they should put everything on hold until they can afford this or that piece of equipment. It's totally not the way to go.
Right.
Like, and I think I seem to remember a time in the past when I think obviously like most people started off with some hi-fi speakers, and you know what, you can get used to the sound of certain speakers in your room, and you can make decent decisions once you get used to them in your room. But for many years I used I had some Rocket 8s KRK stuff, and then I guess it was about a year and a half ago now that I got the Adam Audio 8 TVs. It was mind-blowing. It was just mind-blowing, the difference, and I still appreciate them now. They've just sent me a subwoofer as well, which I haven't reviewed yet, but I'm kind of interested and a bit scared with subwoofers really about how to advise people about them. But I'm going to give it a good go for a month or so first. But I
totally agree with what you were saying just now, that don't wait for the gear that you think you need.
Anything. Yeah, definitely.
There's pretty much nothing there. Honestly, if all you've got is your laptop and a set of earbuds, you better start making music with your laptop and those earbuds now. And
get to know them, or in your door. I mean,
there's so much you can learn and so much you need to start doing now. If you wait for that gear to come, you're going to be way behind. You need to start doing your music now, releasing it now. You're going to keep getting better, and the gear will come in the right time.
And do you think that because, we get choices perhaps that other people don't, people send us stuff to review and what have you, we're extremely privileged in that way. But I kind of feel like, for example, we talked about Complete earlier, because we've both done reviews of Complete, which I just think you could have just that one library, and if you tried to use all of the instruments and effects in there, you'd be there for years just exploring it all. Really, it's so vast. Now, if you get that, and then you also get, I don't know, I think the IK multimedia is something called the Studio Total Studio. Yeah.
Oh,
they've
yeah,
got
the Total
Studio.
Studio.
Total Studio, right? If you had Complete and then you had Total Studio and then you had Arturia's V Collection or something as well, honestly, it's too much.
Yes.
I know we should be trying to, affiliate links, guys, but honestly, it's too much. You'll never explore all of it. You won't.
Yeah,
it'll actually overwhelm you in some ways.
I agree with you on that. I think you don't need everything. I think it's nice to have the choices out there, right? So as a musician, you could be like, well, the Complete bundle is good for me because I do some composing and it's got the machine expansions that I like to use as a beat maker. Then great, that's great for a certain type of person. If you're into the vintage synths, then the Arturia V collection is the way to go. It's nice to have all these choices, but if you have all of them, it can actually.
But how many do you really use? I mean, I find myself after all of these years reaching for Alicia's keys. It's just like a standard piano sound for me. I'll just start there. Maybe I'll swap it out for Maverick or something a little bit later. But Alicia's keys, I know that will sound okay on most songs. I mean, I tend to be honest with you. I think I've got Superior Drummer and Addictive Drums. Addictive Drums 2 is really old now. I still keep going to it. I just think it's just so
it works and you know it well. Because that's another thing, right? You get something new, you have to learn it. So are you going to spend your time just collecting these things and keep learning this stuff, or are you going to spend your time making music? And if something that you've used for years, and you did, like you're saying with you said Studio Drummer, right? Or whichever drummer
Superior Drummer, Superior
Drummer. You throw it in and it does the job and it does it quickly, and you can get to the song and get to the inspiration part and the finishing of the song faster. Use that. You're fine.
And all the drummers in the audience are saying, no, you don't use either of those.
My phrase is, this way, make the music you love.
Yeah, right.
You and
absolutely.
It doesn't matter. There are no rules in this.
Out of interest, let me do a little confession for you. And then this is to put you at ease, because you may have an equally embarrassing confession. The first single that I ever bought, I think I was 9 years old. And it was Money, Money, Money by ABBA.
Oh, classic.
I don't know why a 9-year-old boy was buying such a, but what was the first sort of memory of something, a piece of music that just hit you for some reason, right?
I'll tell you I think the first album that I bought was Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas album.
That's truly embarrassing, man. You shouldn't. No, we can cut this out later. It's okay. I'll edit that out. We're good.
That's my earliest thing. I still have that cassette. But no, I think when I started collecting music, I actually started collecting the Beatles.
Yeah, right.
When it hit me that, so I was already learning classical piano, but once I started hearing the Beatles, I'm like, this is opening up things that I never imagined, and had got me delving into the sound and the production like I'd never listened before, and the songwriting, all those things. That's when I think I really started getting really serious about the craft. And I started really collecting once it came to the Beatles.
The Beatles are such an interesting example, and I know there's going to be people, and I don't blame them for this, who are going to, oh, Beatles. And you don't have to like the Beatles, but I think just from a musician's point of view, on the face of it, they appear to be so easy, like all good pop songwriters. On the face of it, it's almost like nursery rhyme, like where you go, oh, I could write a song like that, easy. And then, but when you really explore what's going on, especially with harmonies and things with them, then you the more I learn about Beatles music, the more I'm going, wow, I just didn't realize what was really going on there when I listened to that song a million times. It's inspiring, isn't it?
It is. It totally is. And I keep discovering new things. I keep learning. I think I keep learning about the importance of simplicity. I get reminded about that when I listen
Right.
to some of the Beatles songs too, of, stop trying to throw everything at this and stop trying to be everything else. Sometimes the simplest solution is the most memorable, and if it's impactful to me and it was done in such a simple way, yes, they get super complex, but they can also be so simple and elementary almost, but effective. That's all that matters.
There's a lot to be said as well. I think, I don't know, when I watch them, or when I watch Paul McCartney particularly interviewed, it's almost like he's still that little kid who's just mucking around with this and having fun with it, right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that's where it's at for me. I just want to be that 12-year-old boy I was, just mucking around on that guitar for the first time and just going, this is fun, you know?
Yeah, but if I was mucking around and coming up with tunes like Paul McCartney, yeah, then it'll be worth the time.
I don't remember the documentary. It was about a recording studio, Sunset Sounds or something like that, with Dave Grohl was in it, and he was working. He had Paul McCartney come in, and they jammed together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they jammed on this song, and Dave Grohl was there, and I'm sorry, I don't know the guy's name, but the bass player from Nirvana as well was there, and they jammed with Paul McCartney. And at the end of it, Dave Grohl went, "Oh wow, I wish it was always that easy." And Paul McCartney turned around, and he said, "It is."
There's something to be said about that attitude, though.
Yeah.
I think we get into our heads sometimes, right? About how we believe our music should sound, how we believe our YouTube videos should be.
Yeah,
Get out of our head about it and just have fun with it. Do
Have
something
fun.
we believe in, and put that out there. Maybe that's enough. Just maybe.
Absolutely. I'll embarrass somebody else here. So what have we got here? Chris, that's embarrassing me because I didn't know this fella's name, but thank you for that, Vic. I was actually clicked on the wrong one there. Isaac's back again. The first album I bought was The Simpsons Sing the Blues. I'll have to check that one out. I didn't know The Simpsons had a blues album, but yeah, good stuff. Look, I think we're going to start to wrap this up now, Sanjay. And it's been pointed out to me that your internet's getting a little bit, you're getting pixelated there, which is
it's clear again.
Oh, it's clear again? Okay, Tati's helping me out here. Oh, and she
it's
found
normally me.
the old picture of me.
Oh, can you put that on your Instagram?
There you
please?
go.
Oh, look at that.
Look,
Oh, wow.
Look at that hair.
But his hair used to be down to
It used to be even longer, but yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
that's how I knew him
man.
most of our earlier relationship.
Could I go back to the photos that I put up earlier?
Yeah.
Just to ask you, Darty, I'll just go over to here. Here we go. Who's responsible for the cardigan?
He is.
She doesn't like the cardigan. I like the cardigan.
You know, when I was in college, maybe the professor look would be cool, and I don't want to say that too. But some of his cardigans are really sexy, and some, yeah. But he hasn't been doing a cardigan for a while, have you?
No, I haven't done the cardigan.
He's out of that phase, I think.
Look at this. Sanjay looks like a young Steven Seagal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Hey. Hey.
The young Steven Seagal. Yeah.
You've been a great sport with all of this stuff. I've totally enjoyed chatting with you. I hope we can chat again.
One of the most fun interviews I've ever had. This is so much fun. And I love your little segments in between. It's hilarious.
So glad to hear that. Thanks as well. Shout out to Dahati there. And you guys are doing some...
You are so fun. Let me compliment you. I know I'm interrupting you, but you are so fun. I love your personality. And like you said, the segments that you did, I hope you're, I'm going to be watching all your interviews from now on. There's a lot of pressure for you to add stuff on and maybe even games and stuff and have your own talk show maybe one day. You never know. You're awesome at it.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a huge compliment. It's not really what I want to do, but yeah, I'll leave that to Letterman. He did a good job. I can't really top it. But But thank you so much. You guys are doing some. I've noticed you're doing more sort of live streams together. Are you doing that on any regular days at all?
No, it hasn't become a regular thing yet, but I'm gonna try to do a few more of those. I was hardly doing those last year at all, but I'm gonna do a few more of those because people seem to really like it, and it's so fun to
It's good fun.
interact with
Yeah,
people live. It's awesome.
absolutely.
So there'll be more of those
Absolutely.
for sure.
I love them because I like just
So
goofing off them.
before we go, I just want to, I don't know if any of your subscribers have been over to this channel to watch this. I hope they have. If they did, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely, I would humbly ask you to consider subscribing to my channel and checking out some of my videos. For all the guys from my gang, I'm sure you'll be convinced after this interview already, but if you haven't done so already, check out the link to Sanjay's channel in the description, and definitely go over there, subscribe to him. Just don't think about it, subscribe to him. You are going to get good quality stuff coming through in your feeds. To the people who are watching the replay of this, please do ask more questions in the comments, and I'll invite Sanjay to come back and perhaps if he's got time
Sure.
to answer one or two of those as well, and I'll definitely try and get in there. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, Sanjay. Thank you to everybody who's been watching from around the world. Last word is to Sanjay C.
Thank you, Mike, so much for this opportunity to be on your channel, and to your viewers. Yeah, check out my channel. And on this video, hit the like button. Put your comments below. I will check them out. And I always say in my videos, and I always recommend this to you, make the music you love.
You love.
Yes.